They told you they were saving the planet. Environmental, social, governance, ESG, the magic letters that made your investments ethical. Except they were lying. These socially responsible fund managers held shares in a company running over 50 adult nightclubs across America. Venues repeatedly raided for illegal services in the VIP rooms. Executives just indicted for bribing government officials. That's what was hiding inside your ethical portfolio. If you've ever felt like Wall Street was selling you one thing while doing another, subscribe. This channel exposes the gap between what financial institutions promise and what they actually deliver. No sponsors, no conflicts, just the receipts. Let's be clear about what ESG promised. The pitch was beautiful. Invest your money in companies that protect the environment, treat workers fairly, and maintain ethical governance. You'd feel good and make money because sustainable companies manage risk better. By 2022, funds carrying the ESG label held trillions in assets. The world's biggest investment managers, BlackRock, Vanguard, Fidelity, marketed their commitment to responsible investing. State pension funds adopted ESG mandates. Universities divested from fossil fuels. The movement felt unstoppable. And it wasn't just marketing. These fund managers lectured everyone else. Larry Fink, CEO of BlackRock, the largest asset manager on Earth with $8 trillion, sent annual letters telling companies they needed to serve stakeholders, not just shareholders. He pushed for net zero commitments. He warned that climate risk was investment risk. The message was clear. ESG wasn't optional anymore. Get on board or get left behind. Now here's what they actually did. Deutsche Bank's asset management arm, DWS, managed over 1 trillion euros. They claimed ESG was, quote, in their DNA. They marketed funds as sustainable. They lectured other companies about environmental responsibility. Meanwhile, they held $5 billion in fossil fuel investments inside those same green funds. $5 billion in oil and gas. And their renewable energy holdings? $200 million. They had 25 times more fossil fuels than clean energy, while marketing themselves as sustainability leaders. And it gets worse. While DWS was increasing their fossil fuel exposure from 3% to nearly 6% of their portfolio, their marketing kept claiming environmental leadership. This wasn't an oversight. This wasn't a technicality. This was saying one thing and doing the opposite. There's a word for that. It's called hypocrisy. But here's what really exposes the game. An Australian court found that Vanguard, the second largest asset manager in the world, misled investors about their ethically conscious bond fund. The fund promised to screen out fossil fuels, tobacco, gambling, weapons, and adult entertainment. Want to know how much of the fund was actually screened? 26%. 74% of the securities were never researched, never checked. They just didn't bother. The fine? $12.9 million, the largest greenwashing penalty in Australian history. They promised ethics, they delivered lies. And when someone on the inside tried to expose it, that's when things got ugly. Desiree Fixler believed in ESG. She took the job as Chief Sustainability Officer at DWS because she wanted to make investing actually mean something. She'd spent her career in finance and genuinely believed sustainable investing could change the system. Then she started looking at the actual portfolios. What she found was damning. The funds DWS marketed as green and sustainable were loaded with exactly what they claimed to exclude: billions in fossil fuels. And the screening processes they advertised? Inconsistent at best, fictional at worst. She raised concerns internally. She told leadership the marketing didn't match the holdings. She documented the gap between what they promised investors and what they actually delivered. They fired her. March 2021, less than a year after she started, DWS terminated their chief sustainability officer for doing exactly what that job was supposed to do, ensuring the company was actually sustainable. But Fixler didn't disappear quietly. In August 2021, she went public. She told the Wall Street Journal everything: the misleading claims, the inflated ESG statistics, the gap between marketing and reality. The response was immediate. German police raided DWS headquarters in Frankfurt. 50 officers, boxes of documents seized. The CEO resigned the next day. 2 years later, the SEC announced their findings. DWS paid $25 million in penalties. The regulator found that DWS made, quote, materially misleading statements about their ESG integration. They claimed rigorous screening processes that didn't exist. They marketed sustainability credentials they couldn't support. And here's the part that should make you angry. Fixler was right about everything. The regulators confirmed it. The company admitted it. But she's the one who lost her job, faced legal threats, and had to fight for years to clear her name. The person who believed in the mission got destroyed. The executives who lied, they collected bonuses for years before anyone noticed. This is what virtue signaling looks like at the institutional level. Public lectures about saving the planet, private portfolios stuffed with everything they claim to oppose, and anyone who points out the hypocrisy gets silenced. DWS wasn't alone. Between 2022 and 2024, the SEC imposed $52 million in penalties across 5 major greenwashing cases. The pattern was identical every time. Promise exclusions. Don't actually exclude. Get caught. Pay the fine. Move on. But the fines were just the beginning. Wait until you see what they were actually holding. Let's talk about what was actually inside these ethical portfolios. Remember that Australian Vanguard fund that promised to screen out the adult entertainment industry? The one that didn't screen 74% of its holdings? That wasn't unique. Major fund managers, Vanguard, Fidelity, Charles Schwab, all held shares in RCI Hospitality Holdings. What's RCI Hospitality? They operate the largest chain of adult nightclubs in America. Over 50 venues across 13 states. The company whose stock ticker is literally RIC, named after their flagship brand. These venues have been repeatedly shut down for illegal activity, prostitution, drug trafficking. In September 2025, 6 RCI executives were indicted for bribing New York government officials. This is the company sitting inside funds marketed as socially responsible. But wait, didn't ESG funds claim to exclude adult entertainment? They did. Vanguard's ethical fund listed adult entertainment as a screened category, but since they didn't actually screen most holdings, it slipped right through. This wasn't an accident. This was the business model. Market yourself as ethical, charge premium fees for sustainable investing, then run the same portfolios everyone else runs, with maybe a few token exclusions for the prospectus. The label was the product, not the ethics. And the tobacco holdings? WisdomTree got fined $4 million in October 2024 because 3 of their ESG marketed funds held tobacco and fossil fuel stocks, despite their prospectus explicitly stating they would not invest in these sectors. The critical detail? WisdomTree knew their screening process was broken since at least September 2020. They continued making false claims for over 2 years. They knew. They kept lying. They got caught. Now, here's where the political angle comes in. Because when state treasurers started looking at what these ESG funds actually held, they didn't find environmental responsibility. They found hypocrisy, and they responded by pulling billions. January 2022, West Virginia fires the opening shot. State Treasurer Riley Moore pulled $20 million from BlackRock, not because of investment performance, because BlackRock was telling energy companies to go green, while managing West Virginia's money that came from coal and natural gas. The domino effect was immediate. Louisiana pulled $794 million. Missouri pulled $500 million. Florida divested $2 billion. Then Texas delivered the knockout. March 2024. The Texas State Board of Education pulled $8.5 billion from BlackRock, the largest single divestment in this entire crisis. $8.5 billion from the fund that was supposed to support Texas public schools. Gone. And here's the proof the pressure worked. In June 2025, Texas actually removed BlackRock from their boycott list. Why? Because BlackRock retreated. They exited the Net Zero Asset Managers Initiative. They reduced climate activism. They acknowledged, quote, real social and economic costs of limiting fossil fuel investment. The political attacks worked because the underlying product was fake. You can't defend ethical investing when the ethics are marketing copy. You can't claim moral authority when your portfolios hold the same things everyone else holds. Total state divestments between 2022 and 2024, $11.7 billion. Now here's the part that makes this story complete. You'd think with all the political backlash against ESG, states divesting billions, politicians calling it woke capitalism, someone would profit by going the opposite direction. In May 2022, a fund launched called the Constrained Capital ESG Orphans ETF. Their strategy? Invest in every company ESG rejected. Oil, gas, tobacco, guns, everything the woke funds excluded. With billions flowing out of ESG, this should have been a gold mine. It closed in June 2023. Couldn't attract enough assets to survive. The anti-ESG fund failed too. That tells you everything. The market wasn't choosing sides in a culture war. The market was rejecting the entire framework because none of it was real. You were told a story by institutions with trillion-dollar marketing budgets. You trusted fund managers who claimed expertise in ethical screening. The information asymmetry was deliberate. The executives who lied had law degrees and compliance teams. You had a prospectus full of jargon, designed to obscure, not inform. The problem was never your values. The problem was an industry that monetized those values without honoring them. Between 2022 and 2024, ESG investing collapsed, and now you know why. Not because caring about the environment is wrong, not because social responsibility doesn't matter, but because the institutions selling ethical investing, we're hypocrites. They promised to screen, and didn't screen, promised to exclude, and didn't exclude, promised transparency, and delivered marketing. 45 ESG funds shut down in 2023 alone, more than the previous 3 years combined. 13 billion in outflows. Even industry giants couldn't keep their ESG products alive past their first year. The real lesson? Don't trust corporations that lecture you about morality while lying to your face. If this analysis helped you understand what's actually happening in finance, subscribe. I'm building something different here. No sponsors from the industry I'm exposing. No advertisers with conflicts of interest. To keep producing this kind of research, the deep dives, the document analysis, the receipts, I need your support. Check the description for how to help this channel grow. I'll see you in the next one.